Welcome to Afternoons on 11. I'm your host, Christine Buck. It is an organization that helps people living in poverty become economically self-sufficient, from offering personal and professional development workshops to job placement and educational programs. Connections to Success has been changing lives for nearly 2 decades now. Connections to Success has been empowering families out of poverty since 2000. So let's welcome Kathy Lambert, who is the CEO and co-founder of Connections to Success, to our show today. Hi, Kathy. How are you?
Hi, I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for having us today. It's just a pleasure to be here.
You seem like such a happy person. Is it this that makes you happy?
You know what it is, and you know, it's seeing lives transformed. And when you see people come in and have dreams and hopes, and at first they think that their life can't be any better, and once they begin with our program and they start achieving goals and taking those steps to realizing their dreams, and they become possible, not only for themselves, but for their children.
Right, and a lot of times it has to do with breaking the cycle of perhaps poverty or someone being incarcerated or family violence.
Right.
It's about breaking the cycle and showing people that there's more than just hope. There's a way to get things done.
Absolutely, and there's so many barriers to employment, and that's some of the things that we addressed early on, is that we knew we could provide a suit, but there was so much more to becoming employed. And so helping to that whole person and helping them with that plan to overcome that and to change the mindset.
Sure.
And to help them to see that all things can be possible.
Now, when you say a suit, for people that don't know what you're referring to, you're talking about like a suit, dress for success.
Dress for success.
Right.
You're right. Just like and I'm sure we have suits that you've donated, so thank you. But that's how we started. And years ago, when I started the program and providing a suit, and the women, they would come in so many times with their heads down and their shoulders down.
Sure.
But putting on that suit and feeling confident on the inside as well as on the outside, knowing that, we're planting that seed of success. And actually, that's how we came up with what we have new coming up, which is called Moxie. But if you think about when you feel good and look good,
sure,
it helps your confidence and self-esteem.
Yeah, it's necessary because it's part of the entire equation of going to apply for a job, or
it is.
To presenting yourself and, like you say, feeling confident. So what is it you said is new?
Is new is our fashion truck, which is called Moxie. And it's a way for us to scale our Dress for Success program. What we can do is we will actually be going to the nonprofit organizations and suiting women that are not able to get to us. We know transportation's a huge barrier.
What a great idea.
And so we'll be able to scale it and helping to serve over 1,000 women this year.
So it's a traveling boutique, and you'll go to maybe a women's shelter?
Absolutely, yes. We'll be going to, for example, one of the organizations we serve is Center for Women in Transition. We'll be able to go over to East St. Louis, to the East St. Louis Housing Authority. We'll be able to go out west into Wentzville. So we'll be able to go and to serve women that traditionally have had a hard time getting to us.
And once again, this was something where you saw the need because, here's what we have for you, but if you can't get there,
right, exactly.
There's another roadblock.
Exactly. The other thing that we're doing with Moxie, it's also a way for us to have a social enterprise. So when we're not suiting the women, we are turning it into an actual traveling fashion boutique. So we can take other items, so like designer suits, and we also have a program where the women make jewelry. It's called Successful Jewelry Designs. So we can put it in there, we can take it out to companies, we can take it to your home to have a party with a purpose, and you can shop for a cause. So like we teach the individuals that come through our program to how to be economically self-sufficient, we ourselves as an organization are also looking at other ways of how we can be self-sufficient.
Right, and when you teach that to someone, it benefits everyone.
Absolutely it does, absolutely it does, and especially for their children. So their children then will not be repeating those same cycles. And Christine, we've been doing this long enough that now we see their children that started with us maybe 14, 15 years ago. Today, not only are they graduating from high school, they're graduating from college.
Wow.
They're home buyers. They're starting their own businesses, and they're not repeating those same cycles.
So, Kathy, when you started this, why did you start this? How did you come to this?
For myself, it really was a leap of faith, and I read an article about Dress for Success. I was searching for what God wanted to do with my life. And I read this article, but I thought, like many times we all do, well, someday when I'm retired,
Sure.
someday when I have the time, and it just wouldn't leave me. And I thought I would initially start just by suiting the women, and somebody else would take it on, and that would be that, right?
Right.
And I learned so much from the women that were coming in, and about poverty and about the barriers to employment that they faced, that I knew that this is what I had to do.
Yeah, because we spend a whole lot of time talking about the problems. We don't spend a whole lot of time talking about solutions.
Right, exactly.
And that's what you're about, right?
Exactly, we are.
Is there anything, a commonality with the women that come in that you picked up on right away?
Yeah, there is. We know that what I felt with them and learned from them is that isolation and depression. And when they don't see a way out and they don't have a plan, and then they don't have a support system. And so I really knew that not only just providing that suit or providing a plan, but they also needed to have hope and encouragement. And so we started a mentoring program. We have lifelong engagement. And so it's doing life together, and it's like a family.
Right.
And we walk along with the families, and forever, however long it takes. But that was really that common thread of that isolation and depression. And we know that research states that that's one of the main reasons, two of the main reasons, that women specifically remain in poverty.
Right, and that's what one of the clues to happiness is connections.
Absolutely.
And to having, so therefore, the name of your. And now, tell me about this. Is there a lunch, an empowering lunch?
We have a power lunch.
A power lunch.
And we have those monthly, and they're on our website, so the dates are on there, and it's a great way for people to come.
And we have some of those dates right there for
yes.
everyone to see, starting with April 21st from 11:30 to 12:30, and that's Bissell, so you have the address right there. And we'll have all this on our website at KPLR11.com, so you don't have to memorize it or hurry up and write it down, but just to give you an idea. So what happens at this lunch?
Well, they come, they get a wonderful treat from another social enterprise that we have employment program called Sweet Success, which is also, it's a baking. We make the best cookies in the world and also offer lunches. So they'll be able to have a wonderful lunch and then also learn more about our program, more about that gap between that entry-level job and that living wage and what we do.
Okay.
And then how they can get involved.
So if someone's interested and they want to call you, they're afraid to do it, but maybe the lunch would be a great way to
It's
show.
a great way. It's a great opportunity for them to come, have a tour, learn and listen, and see how they would like to get involved. And we tailor our volunteer opportunities for individuals according to their skills and their passions.
Okay, Kathy Lambert, so we've heard from one of the co-founders of this. Let's talk to a woman who has benefited from this Connections to Success when we come back.
In 1997, I read an article about Dress for Success New York, and it really touched my heart. It was about providing interview clothing to women that were coming from disadvantaged situations and helping them to be on the same playing field as anyone else. I remember getting the very first call from an organization that there was a woman that was homeless and she had a job interview. I didn't have anything set up, but I had clothes in the trunk of my car. She came over, we opened up the trunk. There was a suit, and it was her size. And that's when I noticed on her feet, she had tennis shoes. And I stood there and thought, she can't go to this interview with tennis shoes. I asked her what size she wore. She wore my size of shoes. I gave her my shoes. She put them on, and they fit. And she turned and she looked at the mirror with a tear coming down her face. And I really thought that maybe I had insulted her, and I didn't mean to, and I said, I'm so sorry. No, she said, I've never seen myself look like this. She walked out of the door. 2 hours later, my phone rang. I was the first person she called, and she landed the job. I knew that that's what I had to do.
Welcome back to Afternoons on 11. If you're just joining us, we're talking about the local nonprofit Connections to Success today and how it's helping transform lives. Let's welcome Latricia Love to the show today. I think it transformed your life, right?
It did. It really did.
Tell us your story. How did it happen? You had a friend that inspired you.
Yes.
To go along with her to
Professional Women's Group, which is another division, another key limb of that family tree at Connection to Success.
And at the time you were in a job that you really felt like you were being passed over, looked over, it wasn't fulfilling, you weren't happy.
Right. Well, I mean, I love doing the help and assistance with the training, but it wasn't the actual title. It was, you know, we need your help. Can you help? And I helped whenever they needed me. But
Right.
I was like, well, if I'm going to be doing this, I should get the title.
Yeah.
So every time it came up for them to be able to do that position, and I would apply, and it would always be down to me and another person.
Okay.
And every time the other person would get it, I'm like, what is going on? I know I am the person that they need in this position. I'm an asset to this company. You keep telling me that, so why not put me in that forefront?
All right, so you found your way out of that situation.
Yes, I did.
And you had a friend that told you about, at the time, was it Dress for Success that she told you about?
She told me about the Professional Women's
The
Group.
Professional Women's Group.
Mhm,
All right,
yes.
so walk us through that. So you go with your friend, and you're thinking, what, maybe I can shift gears in my life and do something different?
Correct. She told me that in the Professional Women's Group that she was able to get a lot of key information, resources, and a lot of women that exude that powerhouse, you know, type of stance. And they were VPs, and they would bring those women in to speak to the women on every third Saturday. And I was like, well, can I go with you? And she said, yes, you can go with me. I said, does it cost anything? She said, it's for free. And I said, well, if they're giving all this information, why is it free? I mean,
Yeah.
you don't get anything for free, really,
Right.
these days.
I'm highly suspicious, you're saying. Right.
Yes.
But you had the skills and were doing a good job with the job where you were. It wasn't like you were lacking skills. So what was it that you felt that you were lacking?
I was lacking the confidence.
Okay.
You know, just being able to speak up and say how I felt.
Right.
And knowing that I had the proper skill sets to do the job, you still need that extra, you know, that backing, that support. So I didn't have that extra support, you know, actually seeing women doing what I wanted to do.
And when you left that meeting, how did you feel?
I felt awesome. It was totally amazing. I know that being in that position at that time gave me the opportunity to choose the decisions and the path that I wanted to go. So with those women telling me that they did it and they're still doing it, and now they're helping other women to do it, I wanted to be a part of that.
And so that meant that you had to quit the job that was currently overlooking you for everything.
No, I did not.
You didn't.
No.
You stayed with that
I
job.
stayed with
while
them.
you.
I also contacted the president of the company and told him how I felt. And he ended up telling me that he would get back with me on Friday. This was Wednesday. On Friday, I had the job as a training coordinator.
So you stayed with the job.
Yes, I
You
did.
they finally understood your worth.
Yes,
And now you're working from home.
yes, I
And you
am.
have kids, so you're able to balance your life.
Work-life balance is what everyone says, so I'm doing it all, juggling all those different balls.
So there's no way you ever would have called the president of the company before
No.
and said, hey, listen, I've been passed for this, this, and this, and I'm here to tell you that I'm the person for the job.
Correct. So
And
that
you must
gave me
have
the
really
confidence.
impressed that person.
Oh, he was super impressed that I had enough gumption to just call him out of nowhere
Wow.
and tell him how I felt.
So what did you do? Take a deep breath and just dial the number?
Yes, I did.
It's a leap of faith for you.
It was the best thing that I could have done.
Congratulations. So you would encourage women to, if they have any questions about their direction and where they
Yes.
want to go,
I would.
look what it did for you, right?
I wouldn't be here today speaking about what happened to me. So
Then nice to meet you. Thank you so much. Coming up, Connection to Success has local partners that help them and help others. More on the work being done behind the scenes. So stay with us. We are back with Afternoons on 11, and joining us now is Paul Hott, who is the board president for Connections to Success and vice president of Reinsurance Group of America. Hi, how are you?
Very good, thank you.
All right, so why did you get involved with this? Where did you hear about it?
So-
and what made you all of a sudden become the president of the board?
Well, thank you. And clearly, it starts with Kathy through volunteering. So for me, I'm in human resources and have been in human resources for 20 years. And for me, it's all about being able to develop and help people, help talent continue to grow. And I led a team, and through that essentially opportunity, I met them, and it was amazing.
What was different about Connections to Success from other places, maybe that you have seen or heard about or been involved with?
Yeah, the first thing is the culture. It's a family atmosphere. It's one that is non-judgmental in any way, form, or fashion. And the second thing is it produces results. And so what I mean by results is, as a business person, what's neat about Connections is it's not just about programs. It's really about the lifelong connection and being able to really help folks regain employment.
Right, and I would encourage people to go on the website and learn about some of the testimonials. For instance, a woman who had been in prison for 30 years and came out and found her way because of this organization, right?
Absolutely. And her story, if you hear Letitia, it's so inspiring. Look at the statistics. 44% of those folks who come out of prison within a year end up going back into prison. So why is Connections different? If we look at folks who have been in our programs, 86% of those individuals do not go back into prison.
Right, which brings us back to why it benefits everyone. Because if you're talking about money and tax dollars and that sort of thing, then it really helps, everyone.
It does. It really does. And if you look at the overall bottom line impact, I mean, we can show over 174% return on every dollar that we provided back. And it's really through individuals, again, like the story you just heard from Letitia, around being able to get back into employment, and not only that, but really better themselves for their children.
So
and I think that's the key.
Yeah. Okay, so a minute left. What's the takeaway that you want from you to people out there that are listening, maybe learning for the first time?
You bet. I think the first thing is Connections to Success. If you haven't heard about us, you will. And two, we are growing, and our impact is just fantastic. There are hundreds and literally thousands of opportunities to volunteer with us and be able to help individuals continue to grow in their own professional development.
Has it helped you personally to be involved?
It has.
Yeah.
We have 21 board members, and every one of them, every time we have our meetings, they essentially say, I think we've learned more from them
There you go.
than what we provided.
All right, well, that's a win-win. And we'll be back to wrap things up in just a minute. So.